Hey, this is Willis, and this is my Rith the Awakener deck. Alright, so this is my Saproling deck. The general is Rith the Awakener, and it only usually takes once or twice for him to deal combat damage to a player before he is never on the board again, because once I say green and start putting a bunch of Saprolings into play, people make sure he's not around for very long. It's land-based now. I've got basic plains, basic mountains, basic forests, and you get into the non-basics. Just Terminal Moraine, I like it just because it's a fetch into a land, so you don't have to spend a spell to use mana fetch. Same with the Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse. Naya, Bant Panoramas for more fetch. And then the Vivid Meadow, Crag, and Grove. Dryad Arbor is good because it's a 1/1 creature in addition to a land. I've got certain cards that trigger off of 1/1 creatures coming into play. You'll see those in a little bit. And he's really just in Okinawa. I mean, it's or Okina. It's just doesn't come into play tapped or anything. So it's a good green mana to pump up your legendary creature. Also useful to pump up other people's legendary creatures that are swinging general damage in on other players. And then just gaining life, red green, white green animate land, obviously. The Monastery here, it's good when you have Threshold because you can make it a 4/4 green and white creature with first strike. Then you've got the Saproling generators, Trample, it's a versatile color deck. Jungle Shrine because it's the 3 colors of the deck. Rupture Spire just taps for any color, which is great. Then Flash Foliage. This is a really fantastic card because this allows you on the errata of the card to block unblockable creatures. If somebody's attacking you with a flying creature, you can block it with a Saproling because it does read that it puts it into play blocking the creature. And also allows you to draw a card at instant speed. Sprout Swarm. This is fantastic because you're doing the buyback all the time once you start tapping Saprolings, convoking it. Fist of Ironwood, just trampling and putting more Saprolings into play. Beacon of Creation, I know it's not a Saproling generator, but putting that many insects into play is nice because, like I said, there's other cards that trigger off of 1/1 creatures coming into play. Scatter the Seeds is great because it's 3 Saprolings at once. Unfortunately, it doesn't have buyback, but the Convoke is nice when you're tapped out at the end of the turn. Volrath's Gardens, this is really good also end of turn when you have extra mana left. You can tap some Saprolings, paying 2 and gain life. Oh wait, no, I guess you can only do it as a sorcery, but it's still nice to have the life gain. Choke, I just needed one card. I had one card left that I could put in here, and I really wanted to put in the guy that gave funguses +1/+1 for each counter, but he had black in him, so he didn't work with the general. So I just went with Choke. It's just a pain in the ass card for people with islands. Gravity Well, I have little flying defense in here, so this is usually one of the first enchantments I fetch and put into play, as it makes everyone lose flying. Story Circle, just versatile to give myself protection in case somebody has fear and is swinging over at me or something like that. Symbiosis allows you to put, now you're into Saproling, putting Saprolings into play for each creature you control. It's great after you've swung with Rith and put 10, 15 Saprolings into play, and then you drop Symbiosis. And then just a little bit of mana fetch. Perilous Forays is great. Evolution Charm is very versatile because it offers you early game mana fetch or late game. Usually I'm returning a creature card from my graveyard to my hand. Rarely am I giving a creature flying, but it has come into use sometimes. Seed Spark, I always try and run at least a little bit of an artifact or enchantment hate. Glare Subdual, probably the best card in the deck. Obviously fantastic to control your opponents when you've got tons of saplings out. Now you're into the tutors. I run quite a bit of tutors in here because there are certain cards that I need to get out at certain times. So Congregation, Chord, Enlightened. Like I said, it's usually either Glare or the creatures lose the flying enchantment that I'm fetching with him. Natural Order, just great because you can just sack a Saproling and go grab one of your bigger creatures. Like if for some reason some people have shuffled your general into your library, or you can grab what's the big tree folk guy? Forget his name. Another tutor, another enchantment tutor, creature tutor, creature tutor, creature tutor, and then another creature tutor. How about that? Mirrodin's Gow, really good enchantment to have in play. Free scry at the beginning of each turn. A couple of ley lines in here to pump up the tokens, plus you gain life. Then you run into the fungus. Most of them are Saproling generator. This is a really good one because it allows you to sack a Saproling to draw a card. This one's not so great because you can't remove the counters from them to create Saprolings, so you have to remove 3 spore counters from them to have it deal 1 damage, so I'm thinking about taking him out. Palad's really good because he pumps up Saprolings. This gives target creature, obviously, +1/+1, good for Saproling generation as well. More Saproling generation. This guy's great because I often have had him come into play, devour several Saprolings, and then get twice as many on the beginning of my next upkeep with his ability. Mold Shambler, he's a fungus, so the one card that allows you to put a spore counter on each fungus you control is nice because you can add some spore counters to him, and you can also use his destroy ability when he comes in, obviously, if you kick him. And you can remove the counters from the previous card with this guy if you have him into place to put Saprolings into play as well. And there you're putting spore counter on each fungus. There you're, in case you need mana. And Spore Flower is great, but unfortunately it doesn't put in Saprolings unless you have one of the other cards, so you have to remove the spore counters to have it do a fog. This guy is just a big fungus, 6/3. You can also regenerate him if you have spore counters on him. Elvish Farmer, I know he's not a fungus, but being able to sack a Saproling to gain 2 life has come into handy more than once. If I don't have one of the next 3 cards into play. Essence Warden, Soul Warden, or Soul's Attendant all give me mana, or excuse me, life when a creature comes into play. Now you're into the Saproling generators, the Guild Mage, the Grove Guardian. Also really nice because you can sack 1 Saproling to pump up all other Saprolings. I'll usually do this when I'm swinging through with 20 of them and 4 of them are blocked. I'll sack the blocked ones to pump up the others to get through. I always play this guy with his Morph ability so that I can put the 4 Saprolings into play when he's turned face up. Fertile here's the guy I couldn't remember earlier, the kicker guy. And with big EDH games, you often have, 10, 12, 15 mana out, so kicking him, putting in a lot of Saprolings is great. And now Sigil Captain and Juniper Order Ranger, both fantastic when you're putting in a lot of 1/1s. He, of course, puts additional counters on 1/1 creatures that come into play, and he allows them to get bigger, and himself as well. Mirror Entity just allows you to pump up all your Saprolings to 5/5, 7/7s, however much mana you want to dump into it. Regal Force, just good card draw. Skull Muncher, more card draw, and he allows himself to get big if you have extra Saprolings to devour. Chain of Acid, this has been a really, really fun multiplayer destroy card because most of the time it sees several circulations before somebody chooses not to copy it. So if you got a really bad board out and you're just looking at having puny little Saprolings on to play, most of the time people won't focus on your Saprolings but will instead be bouncing this back and forth with other bigger permanents. And just more artifact enchantment hate and just an overall destroy card. Thanks for watching CMDR decks. Please subscribe and favorite.